68 degrees. That's where the room settled on a day that started pushing 80. No air conditioner, no power bill, nothing running but a tired oscillating fan and 2 frozen water bottles. I stood in the doorway the first time it worked and laughed because it had no business working that well and it cost me nothing. Today, I'll show you how to turn any basic fan into a real room cooler, why it actually works, and it's not the reason you think, and the one kitchen shelf trick that makes the cold last roughly 50% longer. A window AC unit costs $200 to $300 and spins your meter all summer. This runs on 2 bottles and a freezer you're already paying to keep cold. Stick around to the end because there's a setup that pulls humidity right out of the air on top of the heat. And dry air is the thing that actually makes a room feel cool. I've run this through 2 brutal summers in a back room my central air was never going to reach, and I don't dread that room in July anymore. By the time we're done, you're going to want to raid your recycling bin and start freezing bottles tonight. Let's start with the part that makes this more than a gimmick, because almost everyone has the science backwards. A fan alone does not lower the temperature of a room, not by a single degree. All it does is push air around. The reason a fan feels good is that moving air speeds up sweat evaporation off your skin. And evaporation is what pulls heat away from your body. Leave a fan running in an empty room, come back an hour later, and the thermometer reads the same. Sometimes a tick higher because the motor gives off heat. The fan was never cooling the room. It was cooling you and quietly lying about the rest. Now, put a frozen bottle in that airstream and the whole game changes. Air forced across those frozen surfaces dumps its heat into the cold as it passes. Actual heat leaving the air, not a wind trick on your skin. Your fan is suddenly doing 2 jobs. Speeding evaporation off your body and dragging warm room air across something freezing, shedding heat on every single pass. That's why the thermometer actually drops. There's a second thing happening that nobody mentions. A frozen bottle sits well below the room's dew point, so moisture in the air condenses right onto it, the same way a glass of ice water sweats on a hot afternoon. That dripping isn't the bottle leaking. That water came out of your air. You're dehumidifying the room at the same time you're cooling it, and in a sticky climate, that hidden second job is honestly the bigger win. Here's how you build it. Use an oscillating standing fan, not a fixed one. Go with 2-liter bottles if you can. The larger mass holds roughly 4 times the cooling capacity of a 1-liter and lasts noticeably longer. Leave a thumb of air at the top so they don't split as they freeze. Get them rock solid, then fasten them behind the fan cage so it pulls air across the ice before blowing it into the room. Zip ties or a small wire basket does it, and a towel underneath catches the condensation. The oscillation is the quiet genius here. A fixed fan fires 1 cold column at one chair and ignores everything else. An oscillating fan sweeps chilled, dried air in a slow arc across the entire space. Same ice, same electricity, dramatically more of the room actually getting cold. It's the difference between a spotlight and sunrise. Now the upgrade the viral version barely mentions. Before you freeze those bottles, stir in a 1/4 cup of plain table salt per bottle. Salt water freezes at a lower temperature than plain water. Freezing point depression, the same principle used to melt ice off roads in winter. Plain ice tops out at 32 degrees and surrenders the moment warm air touches it. Salted ice holds several degrees colder, pulling heat harder and lasting longer. You get roughly half again as much cold out of the same bottle, and the only price is patience. Salted water takes longer to freeze, so prep it the night before. Here's an angle most people never use. If your nights cool down significantly, freeze the bottles after sundown. Your freezer's heat dump goes into a room that's already comfortable, and you're banking the cool of nighttime to spend during peak afternoon heat. 2 things that will quietly rob you. First, a bowl of loose ice in front of a fan is the weak version. Loose cubes have less cold surface in the airflow, meltwater pools, and insulates whatever ice is left, and you've built yourself a puddle. A sealed bottle gives you 1 smooth cold face right in the air path, 0 mess, and you refreeze that same bottle every night all summer. Second, I'd rather be straight with you. This will not replace central air. There's no compressor pumping heat outside, just a finite block of cold slowly melting into one space. What you've got is a fix for a single closed room, and inside that box it punches way above its weight. Treat it as the rescue tool for the one room the AC always forgets, and you'll quietly wonder how you sweated through so many summers without it. Here's where it goes from neat trick to daily habit. Run 2 sets of bottles, 1 pair in the fan while the other refreezes. Swap every few hours and the cold basically never stops. Don't dump the meltwater each morning. Already chilled water costs the freezer far less to refreeze, so the system gets cheaper over time. For an extra push, drape a damp cloth over the bottle before it goes in. As it dries it, layers evaporative cooling right on top of the conduction from the ice. Wet towel, 30 seconds. Noticeable difference. Last one. Optional but weirdly effective. Drop a few drops of peppermint or eucalyptus oil onto the dry towel under the fan. It does nothing to the actual temperature, but menthol trips the cold receptors in your skin, so the room feels a few degrees cooler than it measures. Your brain gets fooled in the nicest possible way. So that's the whole thing. A fan you already own, 2 bottles of water, a pinch of salt for the long haul, and a room that finally backs down in July. The science was never complicated, just heat leaving the air one pass at a time, with the humidity quietly going along for the ride. The only real question is which room in your place you're going to rescue first. If there's one spot the AC never quite reaches, send this to whoever's stuck sweating in it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.